It's a lending platform where it's like, just like Flipkart and Amazon, it's an aggregator. We are an aggregator there. So, I've written books also on mergers and acquisitions and financial engineering, and currently I'm writing a book on venture capital. It will be out in the month of January. Sage Publications is publishing it. We will have a global launch on that. With that, I would like to start our lecture on business plan, writing and funding. So in these slides, I will continue to go backward and forward. Why? Because venture capital and its activities exist in circular reference. When I say circular reference means we have to go back and forth to understand its fundamentals completely. So at the end of the presentation, I would like to take questions from you. So ladies and gentlemen, challenges of getting funds from venture capitalists, right? The first and the foremost we have is challenges of getting funds from venture capitalists. Anybody can write a business plan, but the question is who will get the funding from venture capitalists? You have your own startup, you have an idea, you want to start your own business, you think that you've written a business plan so you will get the funding. That is the biggest blunder you will ever do in your life, that you have an idea, so I should write the business plan, and somebody is free enough. On an average, a venture capitalist gets around 4 to 5 business plans to read. Each business plan is around 70 pages, so you think that he will continue to read 350 pages worth business plan every day, 20 days in a month for 12 months? No, that's not going to happen. So we'll discuss in detail what exactly venture capitalists look for and what exactly should be there in your business plan. In its executive summary, that he wants to read those 70 pages, and next he wants to make a call and have a meeting with you, and eventually you're able to get funding from him. Next is too many companies in the market looking for funding. Right now, if I say, I am also on the advisory board of Kentrust Capital Investment Advisors. It's an Indian fund of Indian branch of 3M, a global private equity fund. Mr. Puneet Gupta manages that. And whenever he wants to get into an investment or whenever he wants to exit an investment, he would ask me to do the valuation. What is the right price he should ask for his investment when he is exiting, and what is the right price to invest in for a particular stake. If I say he wants to have a 30% stake in a company, how much money should he invest that it comes out to be 30% stake in a company? For example, a company has a valuation of 100 crores. And Mr. Gupta wants to take 30% stake in it. So how much is 30% of 100 crores? 30 crores. So 30 crores is the amount of capital that is required from the venture capitalist to be invested so that he can have a stake of 30%. Now the question arises whether it is valued at 100 crores or not. Is it the right valuation? That is where financial engineer comes into play. He will work on all the assumptions, all the cash flows that are projected, whether the company is at the right valuation or not. It is fairly valued or it is overvalued, right? So, few venture capitalists with decent amount of money, decent amount of capital to invest in finance. The real word is capital. Nobody uses the word money. So the capital is venture capitalists. In India, on an average in a given year, only 27 to 28 venture capitalists are active enough to invest their money. And how many companies are looking for funding? Approximately around 1.2 to 1.4 lakhs in a given year. And how many venture capitalists are active? 27 to 28 in a given year. And the kind of money they have is somewhere around 300 to 400 crores. That is the amount of money they have to be invested in a given fund. So how they are going to structure their investments? On an average, a venture capitalist would like to invest in 8 to companies over the life of a fund. Life of the fund means venture capitalist, how the business works is venture capitalist goes to limited partners. There are limited partners. Let's say all of you are limited partners in my venture capital firm. Some of you are high net worth individuals. Some of you are institutional money managers. Some of you are banks. And some of you are working with pension funds. So what happens is I give you a presentation as a venture capitalist that I would like to invest in a technology. I would like to create a technology startup fund where I would like to invest in technologies that is going to change the lifestyle of people. Right? So I will identify those kind of companies I will invest in, and I anticipate that I will create a handsome amount of return for you. That is my claim to you as. So now what you will do? We'll discuss in detail what exactly you will do before you give the money to venture capitalists, and venture capitalist funds the company. Right? Remember, getting your business plan right or wrong doesn't matter. Anybody can write a business plan. Doesn't mean you will get a funding. People with business plan, approximately around 0.01% of them get funding. And why? And which companies venture capitalists choose? We're going to discuss those. So ladies and gentlemen, there are limited partners who give the money to the venture capitalists. Venture capitalists makes a prospectus and makes it very clear that what kind of companies, what kind of industry he's going to invest in to generate returns for them. And what's in it for the venture capitalists? When I'm raising money from you, I've been given money on two fundamentals. The first one is the hurdle rate. Second one is the profitability share. Hurdle rate is, if you give me the money worth 100 crores for 10 years, that is the life of the fund. After 10 years, I'm supposed to return you the money. So I will identify the companies I'll invest in, and I'll continue to work with them, and eventually I will exit my investments and give you your capital back. Correct? So before that, giving you the money back, I get into the investments. Correct? When I'm getting into the investments and I'm raising the money from you, and there's a life of the fund that is there, in which I have to create the wealth for you, that means what? That means I have to identify those companies in those industries which are not affected by the current cycle in a negative way. Just like right now, what is automobile industry going through? It's going through a really bad phase. So if any technologist or any venture capitalist didn't foresee it and raised capital and claimed to invest in automobile industry, that the major problem in automobile industry right now is, even if the best brands of the car, that at right point of time when the accident happens, even in BMW, Mercedes or Maybach, sometimes what's there for the safety of the driver and the people sitting in the car? Yeah. What comes out? Yes. So what happens is, many a times it is attached to the wire and it is mechanical in nature, and there is a failure. So there are people who are claiming that there will be a microchip and it will be an electronics based instrument rather than a mechanical based instrument. And if we invest in such businesses to create a more safe driving instrument for the people, then it can create enormous amount of profit for us. And who's the first one to do it? The question is that. So based on that, a venture capitalist can raise the money and invest in businesses. So ladies and gentlemen, let me go to the next slide. Who are the venture capitalists and what they do? Venture capitalists are veteran in the world of identifying the right investment opportunities in startups and converting them into multi-billion-dollar businesses. Look, if you go to a venture capitalist with your business plan, you have done all the hard work, spent 6 months writing the business plan, and it is a piece of junk to someone. How would you feel? Where are those 6 months gone? So before you get into your business plan, you should know something. Once again, I repeat it. Venture capitalists are veterans in the world of identifying the right investment opportunities in startups and converting them into multi-billion-dollar businesses. Right? So if you go to a venture capitalist and you say that I have a startup idea, FD rate is currently around 6%, and if you invest in my business, I'll give you 24% return. That is 4 times the return that you will get in your FD rate. he will tell you to go and find a mutual fund manager and propose it to him or anybody else, but a venture capitalist will never invest in a plan or in a company that gives return of 24, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50% return. Venture capital is not going to invest in it. The reason is the very nature of the business of venture capital is there. Why is venture capitalist getting money from the investor? Look at it from where the capital is coming to the venture capitalist. It is coming from the limited partners. Limited partners already had a choice who gave him the money to invest money in FD, to invest money in debt funds, to invest money in mutual funds. Can be debt-based mutual funds, can be equity-based mutual funds. In equity-based mutual funds, you as investors can invest your money in high-growth stocks, value stocks, large-cap stocks, blue-chip stocks. And you have chosen not to invest in them, or you have, let's say you have 100,000 crores worth money, and you chose to invest 900 crores of your money in such instruments, and 100 crore is for the venture capitalist. That means what exactly you are looking from a venture capitalist? You are looking for $1 billion business. And for that, you are willing to pay a price. For that, you are willing to pay a price. That is risk associated with venture capital investment. That eventually, if you are investing in a startup or a seed capital business, your business can go bankrupt. Correct? So whenever you go to a venture capitalist, you will not talk about the risk of investing in his business. You will talk about the opportunities that are there in your business. Whether you can convert it into $1 billion business or not. Somebody was going to take a taxi at 2 in the morning, right? And he came out and the temperature was approximately around -5 degrees Celsius. And he looked here and there, he couldn't find taxi. He had to walk for 2 miles, right? Then he was able to go reach somewhere where his phone was working and where he could contact the taxi drivers, right? And from there onward, he took a cab and he went where exactly he was supposed to go. When he was riding the cab, something occurred in his mind, right? And he started working on his startup. And when he started working on his startup, he called up somebody in India. And he said, I have a startup idea, I'm working on my business. Would you like to be an equity partner in my business? Now this Indian guy didn't understand what exactly is the equity partner. He's a coder. So he said, no, I'll write the code. You pay me the money. He said, are you sure? This is just $10,000 to start with. He said, I'm 100% sure. You pay me the money, I'll write the code. So he wrote the code. He wrote the code and the business started. Now what happens is, this business, why venture capitalists funded this business? It was scalable. It was in a particular city. Then, when venture capitalists looked at this business, he said this business can be scalable to any heights. It can be scalable to any country, any city in the world. So, the business was in one city, it went to the second, third, fourth, fifth, 25th, 27th, and eventually it went out of United States to Europe and came to India. They did some customization to the business, but look, the business was scalable. The idea was very good, and the name of the business was Uber. When he started this business, why do you think venture capitalists chose to invest in? He said, we are an aggregator, the taxi business will be there, the app is for New York only. And once it is there in New York, we can expand it to California, we can expand it to Florida, we can go to Chicago, and eventually we can go on global basis without even having a single investment in capital expenditure. There are two kinds of expenditure a company does. First one is CapEx, and second one is working capital. Capital expenditure is that is going to generate cash flows for you over a multiple years of time. Just like this is a school, right? It is a capital expenditure that the company has done or whoever the trust has done. How? The school infrastructure, until and unless there is some earthquake of 12 Richter scale, this capex will continue to be there for 20 years with minor maintenance after every 4 or 5 years. So this is an asset. With capital expenditure, you have created an asset that is going to give you cash flows over multiple years of time. Why? The school building is going to be there for 20-25 years. Students will continue to come and pay the tuition and use the classrooms and all the infrastructure that is created for them. Correct? So that means this is capital expenditure. The capital expenditure that is done on a particular asset. An asset is created which is going to give you returns over multiple years of time. The second expenditure is working capital expenditure. That is done year-on-year basis every year for the growth of the business. And what exactly is this in this school? Teachers. You are paying their salaries year-on-year basis. 1 year you can have 100 teachers, next year you can have 200, and very next year you can end up having 50 teachers. So that is a working capital expense, right? Electricity expense. That is working capital expense. Month on month it is happening. But building, once created, it is going to be there for 15, 20, 25 years. So it is capex in nature. Now, look at the opportunity of Uber. You are creating an app. There is no capital expenditure required. Why? Because there is no taxi on your books. When I say book means on the financial statements of the company. If you look at the books of this school, what would you see? In the asset side, asset is which you will utilize to create cash flows. Imagine there is no land and there is no building. Can you have a school on the road and generate cash flows from people coming, from students coming from very good families to study there? No, you can't. So you are supposed to have an asset. Once you have an asset that is created by spending money, which is capex or working capital, right? This asset will be utilized year-on-year basis to generate cash flows for you. Correct? Now coming back to this business, Uber, on the before that, on the books of this school, what's there? You will see that there are assets, and those assets can be current assets or long-term assets, non-current assets. In global world, IFRS standards, they say long-term assets. In India, they say non-current assets. This building can be utilized over multiple years of time. So what is it? It is capital expenditure and it is long-term current asset, long-term asset, not a current asset, right? Current asset is what? It can be utilized and consumed within 1 year, right? So can you tell me that an asset which can be consumed in 1 year, right? What exactly is that in the school? Think about it, that there is an asset once consumed, which can be consumed in 1 year, and we will have to create a new asset next year. In order for us to move forward, you have to participate in the class. There are two assets. I gave you the example of one, which is the building, right? Building is going to be there for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So we are utilizing this asset. This is a non-current asset, right? And this non-current asset is created by two different kinds of capital. One is the owner of the school. He might be having some money with him, and there are some investors in his school. These are called equity holders. They are the shareholders in the business. Let's say to build this building, when they started this school, they required approximately around 50 crores. And these investors, along with the promoter who runs the school, scratched their pockets and realized they have just 15 crores. And how much is the expenditure? 50 crores. So that means where will the rest of the capital come from? The rest of the capital is to be financed by doing what? Let's say the building used to cost approximately around 10 crores. Right? The land costed around 10 crores. Rest is the expenditure on maintaining or starting with the construction of the building. Rest 35 crores, they will go to the bank and raise it from there. Right? So now you have debt as well as equity in your business. 15 crores is the money you have in your pockets and your investor had it in their pockets. You invested it. Right? Now you will get profitability on your investments. But the total capital required was 50 crores, out of which 35 crores came from the bank. And it came from the bank in the form of loan. So let us understand the nature of loan. If the school continues to miss its 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 payments, what will happen? The bank will come, shut down the facility, put it on its sale to recover its money. Correct? That's the nature of the particular capital in the whole capital structure of the company. What's the nature of equity? Other instrument that was worth 15 crores, that whatsoever is the profitability will be shared among the investors depending upon how much share I have. If profitability is 3 crores in a given year and I have 20% share, right? So that means my profit is 60 lakhs. Correct? Right? So ladies and gentlemen, profitability. And profitability comes after I have paid all my obligations. Right? So that means I need to pay my debt. To let's say there is an interest expense of 10% on the debt that I have taken. Right? So how much is the expense now? 3.5 crores. So company or the school has to have so many students here that they pay their tuition, you utilize this asset, they pay their tuition. From this tuition is what? This is revenue. That is revenue for the school. And from this revenue that is generated, what they will do? Pay off their expenses. And those expenses are electricity bills, administrative expenses, paying the salaries of the teachers. Whatever is left is called operating income. You are running the business, you are generating revenues, and whatever you are paying to run the business is called operating expense. And then you come up with operating income. From operating income, you pay off your obligation. And what was the obligation? Debt. You have taken a debt worth 35 crores, or whatever is the interest you pay taxes, and whatever is net income, that is your profitability. So I was very young when my father did an FD in SBI, and then I studied MBA and for PhD. And when I came back to India, I asked my father a question. I said, Papa, why did you choose 1993 when SBI chose to go public? You understand public? That IPO, shares in the market. You chose to invest in a different instrument, which is FD. You could have chosen to invest in its share. Look, SBI is one entity. You can invest in SBI in two ways. One is you invest by giving them FD. You are investing there. They are giving you 7, 8, 9% whatsoever is promised to you, right, in the form of interest rate. So you have chosen an instrument called debt, right? And debt is the raw material of the bank. Bank is going to take this debt as raw material and lend it at a higher interest rate in the market. Yahi hota na? Bank is giving you 7% FD rate, but when you go and ask for the loan, they will say 14%. They don't say 7%. We have taken money, capital, in the form of debt at 7%, but we are not going to lend it at 7%. We're going to lend it at 14%. So 7% is going in the in the pockets of who? Bank. Eventually where? The other instrument, which is equity. Why? Because profitability after paying off the obligations is going in the pockets of equity holders. So I asked my father in 1993, you had an FD worth 20 lakhs, right? And why did you not choose to invest in SBI's shares? So he said, I didn't know about SBI shares. I said, it is one entity. It is a government-backed organization. It is the biggest organization. It cannot go bankrupt. If you would have chosen, things would have been different. Same organization. There are two instruments. One is FD. One is equity, shares. FD is you are giving them loan and they are paying you interest on it. So you are a debt holder in the organization, right? They have, in a way, think like this. They have taken a loan from you. The other one is you are a shareholder in the organization. 1993, coming back to it, 1% of the total capital was equity. That means what? If SBI had 10,000 crores to lend in the market, 1% kitna hua? चलो 100 करोड़ कर देते हैं. 100 करोड़ का 1% कितना हुआ? 1 crore. 99 crores was coming from in the form of debt. So let's say there is 10% interest on it. Correct? So 9.9% is the liability that the bank is supposed to pay to its debt holders every year. 99 crores. Bank gives 100 crores on interest. That particular time it was around 16%. At 16%. So how much is this? 16 crores. How much was the obligation? Obligation was 9.9 crores. So how much is left? 7.1 crores. 7.1 crores of the total revenue is how much? 16 ka 7.1% is how much? Approximately around 40%. 40% of the company's revenue is going to 1% shareholders. 1% shareholders. I said if you would have done it, instead of choosing, you had a choice whether to choose this company's FD or you choose equity. 20 lakhs if you would have invested in shares of SBI rather than choosing a different instrument called FD, debt. 2019. Today is 4th of October. So 4th of October? 6th of October. 6th of October, financial markets are closed now. 4th, they closed. So Friday. So ladies and gentlemen, 4th of October, 2019. Can anybody guess how much is that wealth as of today if he had chosen to invest in shares rather than debt?
20 crores.
Anybody else? 144 crores. Why? Because year on year, SBI continued to lend 1,000 crores, 10,000 crores, 12,000 crores, 15,000 crores. And this wealth was distributed among 1% of the shareholders. Why I am telling you all this? First, before getting into business plan, you should understand the nature of both the instruments. Look, once again, we will revise this before wrapping up. We are a school, right? Or let's say we are a bank. We have taken debt in the form of raw material. All of you are FD holders. Let's say this part of the class is FD holders. So you have given me the money in the form of FD and I promised 6% return to you, right? And there somewhere are the people who are asking for the loan. I promised 7% to you and I gave them the loan at 14%. Whatsoever is the profitability after paying off the expenses, operating expense, I paid off your FD, and let's say this part of the class is equity holders. I paid them, distributed the profits among them. Now, the nature of the instrument is you get paid first. But if there is enormous amount of profitability that is created, they will get it. Though their income is, English में हम financial world में बोलते हैं residual income, बची कुची income, revenue दिया, expenses pay किए, आपको FD के पैसे दिए, and whatever is left is given to them. But what if it is very large? It is huge. Then, how many of you have heard of Capital Small Finance Bank? Jalandhar में एक बैंक था, Capital Small. No, you've not heard of it? Look, whenever you go around, if you're really interested in venture capital and how the businesses work, you read around what exactly you see. Whatever you see, talk to yourself and spend some time. You're always there on your phone and your internet is there with you. Just read a little bit about them. The success story is in the last 10 years, its share has gone up by 500 times. They realized even before the big banks can realize that lending in the small tickets, ticket means 100 crore का लोन दिया किसी को, 5 crores का, 10 crores का, एक बैंक ने 6,000 crores का लोन दिया माल्या को, 4 बैंक से मिलके वो ले गया. What is the loss? 1,500 crores worth. आपने 1,500 crores का लोन दिया, 1 crore का एक बंदों को दिया, तो how many your risk is divided among how many investors? 1,500 investors. अगर 1,500 के 1,500 डिफॉल्ट कर देंगे, नहीं पे करेंगे, then your loss becomes what exactly the kind of fraud he has done. So they realized we have to, our nature of business, when they asked for the funding is, they made a business plan and they came up with the idea in Indian market, what we will do is, we will target only those people who need loan less than 1 crore. And these big banks are not targeting them because they are of not big revenue to them. So we will target them, and we will target them in the North Indian region and generate cash flows from there. Have you heard of a company called Bajaj Finance? Whenever you go to Chroma store to buy something, Bajaj Finance is just guy standing there and is willing to finance even your 12, 15, 30, 13,000, 40, 20,000, 22,000 worth, or even 30,000 worth microwave. He's willing to finance that. And they have this card also, which 1 crore people right now have it. They worked on it, and they wrote their business plan, and they realized if 1 crore people have this card and start using our facilities, where we give loans for food processors, loans for phones. They were the first ones to start it in India. Loans for what? Washing machines, loans for laptops. Do you know, when they started lending in the market and their share IPO'd and they came up with this business plan, people were a little skeptical about the nature of the product. You are targeting these people, right? You are targeting these people. It is actually a market? Is it actually a market that you will actually end up financing microwaves, fridge, phones, laptops, or even any other gadget, you name it? And these gadgets are in the range somewhere from 15,000 to 1 lakh. They said, yes, we know our business. Once 1 crore people have it, and then you will see what business we are into. So they started working on it, and they started lending it. They built their network, and they started lending it. So 2010, at a rupees 10, their IPO came, and one share was worth 50 rupees. 2019, 4th of October. How many years it becomes? Approximately around 9 years.
9 years.
In 9 years, how much return they have given? Can anybody guess? 9 years, right? By doing such a business, what exactly is the kind of return these guys have given? Before we get into the intricacies of business plan, which you can go to Google and find out what 8 points you have to write. It is very easy to write a business plan. But the hardest thing in the world is to get a funding for your business plan. So what exactly should be there in your business plan? So can anybody guess? 9 years, they have given 600 times return. अगर आपने 1 लाख लगाया होता तो आज वो 6 करोड़ होता. This is the market. This was the power of 1.3 billion people in the country, that somebody got his business plan right. Right? Somebody got his business plan right. So when we worked on starting our own, it was very easy for us to raise the funding. Why? Because one of the partners is a venture capitalist. So it was the easiest thing to do, that one of your close friends is a venture capitalist, but you still have to work on a business plan. I have a circle of friends, and I talked to them, and then I talked to this investor, and we realized the people who are looking for loan, somewhere between 5 lakhs to 40, 50 lakhs, there is no market. There's nobody willing to pick up their file, right, and take it to the bank and help them get a loan. Why? Because there are 2 reasons. Understand the nature of the business. One is, how does the loan file moves? First, you go to a DSA. DSA will help you get a loan from the bank. And in the bank, employee has a target. He has a target that you will do loans worth 40 crores. Now he gets 30 files in a month. Understand, this is how your business plan will come out. You have to work into the intricacies of the business, find the gaps, and only then you will be able to write the business plan. So now, what happens is, he has a target worth 40 crores. Well, the team will sit together. First week of the month, they don't do anything. Second week of the month, they all sit together and they say, oh, 40 crores worth target, how many files, how much money worth files we have? He said around 80 crores. इसमें से 5 crores की कितनी है? वो कहता 5 crores की approximately around 6 निकालो. 5, they will work on them, correct? Now, the next, what happens is, they will say, what is the next large ticket size? He said, there are 4 worth 3 crores. उसको निकालो. 42 crores का business किया, बाकी files ऐसे ही पड़ी हैं, हमारा target achieve हो गया. The guy is there on their door for 25-30 lakhs loan, nobody is listening, willing to listen. Why? The DSA, the chartered accountant who's going to get you the loan, for 5 crores worth loan, he gets 1% payout, which is how much? 5 lakhs. And if he is taking the same file to the bank, it requires the same amount of energy, same amount of work. If the loan is worth 15 lakhs, how much reward you will get? 1%, that is 15,000. One is 5 lakhs, one is 15,000. Nobody wants to pick up his file. So ladies and gentlemen, what if we do is build a lending platform. Borrower simply logs into my website, gives his information, right? Plugs it in his Aadhaar card, and my software is attached to Aadhaar card so that I can verify his address. And he doesn't even have to fill it up. What happens? It happens by itself. He plugs in his PAN number, right? And he fills in his financial statement, uploads his financial statement in PDF. My software does the analysis on 80 variables, right? Goes to the PAN card sites, verifies his income, right? He plugs in the user ID and password, net banking password and user ID in there. My software goes in, takes out his financial statement, does the analysis of it, correct? Right? And then Aadhaar card verification, PAN card verification, bank statement analysis, financial statement analysis, all of this is done in somewhere between 40 to 55 seconds. And the report is ready for the lender to read it. Address verification, income verification, financial analysis, everything is done between less than a minute. And yes, I forgot to mention, we fetch the CIBIL score also. Our platform is attached to CIBIL score. If you enter it, you will get the CIBIL score. And so once the file is there, if the lender rejects it, it will go to the next lender. What happens? If you are putting your file in 11 banks and they check your CIBIL score 11 times, your score goes down by 100 points. But once we have downloaded your file, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just tell banker to log in there, my CIBIL score is lying there. All the analysis is lying there. So it is with 2 NBFCs that are doing this, and what is happening is people are getting those loans. Now, the next thing about our business is, the business plan didn't stop here. RBI came up with this regulation. RBI also knows about it, what banks are doing. So RBI said 7% of your total loan portfolio of every bank, of each and every bank, should be in MSME sector. MSME sector is small, micro, small and mid-scale enterprises, which has capex worth less than 5 crores and revenue somewhere around, some have 30, 25 lakhs, some have 75 lakhs, some have 80 lakhs. So banks didn't meet the requirement. RBI pushed them to meet the requirement next year. Then again they couldn't do it. Now after 5 years, RBI said we are going to put fine on it. And fine will be maybe worth 100 crores, 150 crores. These banks are coming to us that whosoever is lending in the NBFC, we are willing to buy this loan portfolio from them. Tell them to lend it to somebody else, we don't have the time. If they have lent loans worth 100 crores, they can take 100 crores from us, lend it in the market and we will buy the loan portfolio. So now what is happening? Securitization. The next stage of the business is already there. We are building the business and this business is creating a new business for us. Just like ICICI 1992 decided that we will go into banking industry. And somebody said it's very tough. He said you are an idiot, you don't know anything about business. It is core integration for us. And what is core integration? There are 2 ways a company can integrate. One is core integration, one is non-core integration. Non-core integration is Tata. It has TCS, Tata Consultancy Service Software. What it has to do with Tanish? Gold ka software ke saath, is there any relation? Or Tata Motors? So this is non-core integration, where in group, different businesses are coming which are not related to each other. So ICICI said, we are planning a business, we are planning expansion in the form of core integration. He said, what is core integration? He said, we have lent money worth 40,000 crores in the market. I said, yes. So when we will open the bank, we will tell these companies that we have lent you the business, we are there with you right from the last 20 years. Now you open the salary accounts of all your employees with us in our bank. You will open your current account with us, all of you. We are opening a ICICI Lombard and Insurance, ICICI Lombard and ICICI Prudential. General insurance of all your plants, property and equipment will be done by us. And life insurance of all your employees will be done by us. So from one business of lending, companies worth approximately around 1,200 companies, they are going to build 3 businesses simply by taking business from them. Why? Because they had a lending relationship of more than 20 years with them. So this is core integration. Overnight, they were able to bring customers into their bank, and from there, they saw the growth. Rest is, I don't want to get into what exactly they are right now. That's not part of venture capital. So ladies and gentlemen, when you are planning an expansion, or when you are planning a business and you are going into a next step, to a venture capitalist, the most important thing before he will invest in your business is, do you know what? Exit. He will ask you about your exit strategy. I know someone who makes very good burgers. If you go to him and you want to eat burgers, probably he makes the best burgers in the country. And he wanted to have around 20, 25, 30 stores. And he asked me whether I can have an investor. I said, you will never have an investor, don't waste your time. Nobody will give you the money. He said, why? I said, there are 2 ways in which a venture capitalist can exit your business. He said, the first is IPO. That is not possible for you. To open 100 chains and 200 and then ask financial markets to give you the money, nobody will give you the money. Second is you sell the business to someone. Who's going to buy your business in India? Burger King, McDonald's, KFC, they will not buy your business. So venture capitalists would never get into your business. So venture capitalist, before he gets into your business, he would want to know his exit strategy. He will have a targets for you in 5 years. And remember, venture capitalist simply doesn't invest money in your company. I know someone who used to make, you've seen medicines? Unke ek packaging material hota hai. Medicines are packed, right? We don't get tablets just like just like you get, even toffees are packed, right? So they are in the packing. So he used to make packaging and printing material for them. And his revenue was around 40 crores. So he asked me whether he can get funding from a venture capitalist. You can surely get funding from the venture capitalist. And eventually, we will build a plan where you can buy back his stake from him. Do you know this is the reason CCD CEO committed suicide? He was unable to buy back the stake from the venture capitalist. Why? Venture capitalists, whatever strategy they planned, right, for exit, didn't work out. There was not enough cash to buy back the stake from the venture capitalist. Right? So the buyback of a venture capitalist is the most important thing for any given venture capitalist. Why? Because it is his exit strategy. It can be one of the strategies. IPO can be one of the strategies. Right? And mergers and acquisitions. You sell the business. They created WhatsApp. Well, they invested in WhatsApp, venture capitalists, and eventually they sold it to? They sold it to? Facebook. Yes. For billions of dollars. How many employees WhatsApp had when they sold it for $19 billion? Can anybody tell me? How many, what exactly are the number of employees WhatsApp had? Huh?
Around 50.
You are very close, it's 59. 59 were the employees. Imagine 59 employees. Is there, understand the business, let's understand the business. WhatsApp, was there any capital expenditure that is required to build the software? There was no expense. But what was the market? It was scalable in nature. Why? First, people in Florida can use it. Right? They give it to their friends, download the app, you can use it, interact with each other. Tell us what are the errors in that. Right? What are the bugs there? We will fix the bugs. Then eventually it moved from one city to another. And then it went on global scale. Correct? And they sold the business. This is acquisition. They could have chosen to go for IPO also. Why did they sell this business? Why didn't they choose to hold on to the business? Can anyone tell you? You start the business. You work very hard for it. Day and night, no life, no parents, no family, no friends. You're working day and night on it. You create a business, somebody comes and buys your business. Why? Why do they sell this business? Why there is acquisition is one of the biggest strategies for exit for a venture capitalist. When you created a startup, why would you sell it? Now I'll tell you a story. 1988, somebody created a floppy drive. I was very young and you were not born. Probably you were there. So there was a floppy drive. IBM came to him and offered him 850 crores, 1988. He said, no, I'll continue to manufacture it and I'll continue to sell it and I will continue to make my company into $1 billion business. And who's standing next to you, in front of you, whom are you telling this to? IBM. That particular time, IBM was what Apple is today. So IBM built a team of 1,200 engineers and they bought around 400 floppies from the market. And they said, open it up, tear it apart, do what kind of surgery is required, build this product in 3 months, and they built it. They filed their own patents. Now, the next step was to kill the business. How do you kill the business? A small player, what will he do? How does the market works? They knew how the market works. How does it work? You've taken the raw material, you have produced the good, you sold it in the market. It doesn't happen on cash. You have developed floppy drives worth 100 crores. You have taken raw material for it and you have paid him 20 crores. Let's say raw material required was for 40 crores. You paid him 20 crores, now you're going to pay him 20 crores when you will receive back the money. So now, what happens? They sell the floppy drives in the market, not on cash. They will say 100 crores worth floppy drives, we'll give you 20 crores and rest 80 crores when we are able to sell it. And line of credit is 3 months. That means after 3 months you are supposed to return 80 crores to me. So they were trying to sell it in the market. IBM got hold of this business. 3 months. This guy doesn't have any cash to last for more than 3 months. IBM manufactured millions of floppy drives, floated them in the market, and he said, you can give us the money after 1 year. Now, if all of you are distributors or retail sellers, and I tell you that boss, he has a product, you're supposed to return the money to him within 3 months. And it's my product. I'm the biggest brand in the world, and it is the same product. You don't have to return me the money within 1 year. Whose product would you take? Yes. So he went bankrupt in 3 to 4 months. That is why, what if Facebook had chosen not to buy WhatsApp? What it takes to create a WhatsApp? Build an app, many people have built it. Do the marketing of the app, make people use it. It will be where WhatsApp is if everything goes well within 5 years, after 5 years, 6 years. That is called organic growth. Next is inorganic growth. Whatever is existing in the market, you pay the money, you buy it, and you scale it up. So they chose inorganic growth. That is the reason they sold the business, and that is the reason they bought the business. Right? Okay, in India, regarding business, you have seen something very interesting. Jio came in, right? It spoiled the market. It actually spoiled the market, right? Whatever Airtel was making, Aircel was there, Jio was, everybody else was there, correct? And how did they spoil the market? By bringing down the revenue. अब वो क्या है कि प्रीपेड लो 500-600 दो 3 months के लिए चलता है. अब एयरटेल का रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम चेंज हो गया. वही आदमी पहले 1500 पर मंथ देता था. रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम चेंज हो गया. Revenue 60% reduce हो गया. Correct? Now look how other people do business in other countries. आपने Pepsi और Coke को देखा? Have you ever seen Pepsi at a higher price than Coke or Coke at a higher price than Pepsi? No, they will not get into price wars. There are 4-5 things that affect a business. When you are buying the raw material from someone for the product, he can, if he controls the market, right? If he controls the market, he can control the price of your product. Why? अगर raw material की price ऊपर जाएगी तो product की भी जाएगी. So Pepsi and Coke buy caffeine, artificial caffeine from the same supplier. और अगर वो price बढ़ाता तो next supplier से लेना शुरू कर देते हैं. वो कहते हैं eventually हम अपना create कर देंगे. Right? Buying power of the buyers. Jio आया, buying power of the buyers बढ़ गई. Price बहुत कम हो गई. People started choosing as buyers of Coke and Pepsi. You had any power? No. They are at the same price. You are unable to control its price. They eradicated it. They said the competition will be between us to win the business. but nobody else will be able to take the advantage. Have you ever seen any third drink coming to the scale of Coke and Pepsi? Any other brand? No. That means potential new entrants are gone. They didn't let anyone come. Business will be between us. There will be fair means in which we will do the business. Next is there any substitute for it? No, there is not. Right? There is no substitute for it. No matter what healthy drink there is, you cannot do anything about it. So that is the way they did the business, and this is the way they did the business. Revenue streams are affected in India for these particular products. Price war, but it doesn't exist over there between these two competitors. Have you ever thought about it? Okay, there is a price war between McDonald's, Burger King and KFC. Bring down the price of the burger? No. That is how people do business in the real world, fair world, where you don't allow your customers or your suppliers to take advantage of you. Does McDonald's invest any money into its business? McDonald's, Pizza Hut, अपने business में कोई पैसा लगाया उन्होंने? Is there any money invested in it? जिसको franchisee, they have given the franchisee to someone, McDonald's, correct? Franchisee के पैसे वो देता है, correct? Now, McDonald's ने raw material लिया, buns McDonald's नहीं बना, cheese McDonald's नहीं बना. McDonald's is not into farming business, be it dairy farming, right? Or be it farming of agriculture products, potatoes and everything else, lettuce, tomatoes, whatever is there. No. So they are incurring all the raw material. They are manufacturing the burgers, selling in the market. कभी ऐसा हुआ है you've gone to McDonald's and you told them I'll pay you the money after 10 days? हाँ? हुआ है किसी के साथ? So that means what? Whosoever is buying them from them is paying then and there. Correct? But जिससे उसने raw material मिला, do you know that they pay him after 30 days? Line of credit is 30 days. जो मटेरियल आता है वो विद इन 5 days कंज्यूम हो जाता है. So that means for how many days McDonald's is keeping its money? 25 days. अगर आप उसका इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेट करो ग्लोबल बेसिस पे, that is far more than 3 times the salary McDonald's pays to its employees. That is called working capital management. That accounts payable to whom you are supposed to pay and receivables from whom you are going to receive. Whatever you have incurred within 5 days it is sold. So the cash is with you for 25 days before you pay him. And for 25 days you are supposed to enjoy the interest rate. And if somebody says something, they will change their supplier. They change the supplier. Yes, please.
So then what is the benefit to an individual, like what is the benefit to Coke if they cannot raise their price, if they cannot decrease their prices and raise their values? Like
decrease what?
Sir, like you said, in the real world, in the fair world, Coke and Pepsi don't decrease their prices and like don't get into price wars. But sir, then how will they individually grow? As in, like how will they grow better than like how will
companies grow by increasing their products prices or by reducing their price from product
by
prices?
reducing their price?
No, by increasing their price, you increase the revenue. एक चीज आपको मैं your company gives it to me for 20 rupees. Next year it is for 25 rupees. How much is your revenue from last year to this year? Increase by 25%. Don't look at it like this, 5 rupees. It is 25% increase in your revenue. Probably 20% increase in your net income after paying expenses. So if as an investor in America, you put your money into the bank, you get 2% interest rate. And how much growth I have given you? 20%, which is 10 times of the FD rate. That is what success is. Excellent. By this, I would like to mention one thing. You've seen Samsung, you've seen Apple. Apple has return of assets. The assets they create, क्या assets are? R&D, human capital that is going to make the products, right? And the infrastructure that they have created. So they are going to utilize that to create their products. And what is the return on assets? Apple, 22%. What is the return on assets for Samsung? 2%. So Apple, in terms of creating its assets, is 11 times more efficient. Don't look at it like 2% and 22%. Look at it like it's 11 times far more efficient in creating the right kind of assets, hiring the smartest people on the planet to build the best of the products. My younger brother works in Apple, and he worked with Steve Jobs for 6 direct years He has a double doctorate, 2 PhDs from University of California, Berkeley. One is in electronics engineering and the second one is in computer science, 2 PhDs. So he said he was called for the board meeting and they told him from 5 to 5 years, they moved from 5 to 5 years, lower India mein khareed lete, don't know. We will move from 32-bit processor to 64-bit processor. And he said, are you out of your minds? It is very hard to do it. He said, that's why you will do it. If Apple doesn't do it, who will do it? So we will do it. He said, he came back to his desk and he did a Google search. And there was an interview of Samsung guy, Samsung's R&D head. Okay, for 64 bits, it will take 4 or 5 years to manufacture. It is very tough to do it. For 4 or 5 years, we don't foresee anyone making a 64-bit processor. So I took out the printout and put it there, and I made sure each and every one, he has a team of around 300 engineers reporting to him. So he took the printout, 300 printouts, put it on the table of each one of them. He said, come in the morning and read it. We'll tell this guy, he said 5 years, we're going to build it in 5 months. So he said, we achieved the first step, and what you do is, there were 6 steps. Once you have achieved the step, what you do, the first thing is, you don't build the product. You've achieved the first step, you file the patent for it. Somebody else so, nobody else can do it. They went to the second step, they filed the patent. He said, by we filed the third patent, I told my boss, now Samsung will have a fair idea that we are working on 64-bit processor. Patent se pata lag jata na. What is your intention? He said, there was no noise. 4th, 5th, and 6th. 6th patent they filed and they launched iPhone 5S with 64-bit processor. He said, when we announced we had a 64-bit processor, R&D's vice president of Samsung was a very good close friend of him. He didn't tell him. He said, do you know what happened at Samsung? He said, what? He said, they sent one of their guys to buy an iPhone 5S from there and see whether it is 64-bit or not. So it was there. What happened next? Samsung fired its 60% of research and development team. In business, you shouldn't get angry. He said they fired, right, 60%, and it took them another millions of dollars, one more cycle to hire them back. When you get angry, you fire people, right? And then you realize you've done a mistake by people. Without people, you cannot develop the product. So you hire them back. And when you want to hire somebody back who's already got a job, he said, I'll come at a raise of 25%. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, coming here, venture capital is not looking to invest in business that will grow incrementally. Incrementally means 25, 30, 40%, 50%, 60% increase. I remember that the investor in our company, Preet Gupta, he manages around $1 billion worth investments across the globe. So he was telling me, he said sometimes he's unable to sleep at night. I said, why? He said, let's not get, there is a place in Palo Alto where venture capitalists come and pitch their ideas. So he said there was this guy, he has already built his product, prototype was ready. And he came and gave his presentation there, and the idea was he will build this, people will log in, create profiles, and they will pay to do many activities on the site. So I said, I was the first one to blast at him, have you lost your mind, people will come and pay. Is this the way this business will run? No way. So again, the moment I started, everybody pitched in. All of them insulted him. The guy took insult from 20 guys and he left the premise. Later on, after 6 months, he got his first angel funding and he started his business. And my investor was telling me after 6 years, I was there in a coffee shop, a friend of mine came. He said, "Yeah, like you, get 6 years back, you remember that you blasted at him for this idea, and we all pitched in, we all lost our minds, and we got all angry at him. This is not possible." So do you know who was this guy and what is the name of what's his company? Which company is this? LinkedIn. LinkedIn was unable to raise money by the very nature of creating revenues. Sometimes the venture capitalists were unable to digest that people will actually pay money for this. Right? So many a times people will reject your idea, doesn't mean your idea is bad. For as long as your idea has certain things that we will discuss. Venture capital is looking for scalable investment opportunities which give revolutionary growth. Scalable means the product, WhatsApp, you scale it, everybody across the globe is using it. Uber, you scale it, everybody across the globe is using it. So this is venture capital. right? You invest in good ideas and eventually you scale them to huge businesses. Until unless you are unable to scale it, venture capitalists will not get into it. Before you write the business plan, you should remember these 4 points. Large market opportunity, some probability of creating $1 billion business. What's the competitive edge, uniqueness of your deal? Product status, whether you have built a prototype or you're still in the R&D phase to build the prototype. Next is team, background and experience of the team. So first is large market opportunity. For your products, are you going to replace the product? You are going to replace the current industry, the products in the current industry, or the current industry in which you are going to offer your products, there is enough market for them to create it into $200 to $300 million revenue means the valuation of the business is approximately around $1 billion. Is there a possibility? Look, these 4 things venture capitalists look for when they are investing in it. For every 10 investments venture capitalists does, it's not mine, it's Harvard Business School's data. For every 10 investments they do, 6 go down the drain. Even capital is not recovered, it is total 0. Out of 4, 2 give enormous returns, and 1 to 2 give approximately around average return. So that enormous return, I tell you like this. You had 100 crores, you invested 10 crores in 10 companies. 6 companies went bankrupt. You took the risk that it can be converted into $1 billion business. It didn't work out. So venture is gone, company is shut down, and your capital loss happens. So out of 4, 2 are exponential growth. So that means what? They gave returns worth 50 times. So 20 crores ka 50 times kitna hua? 1000 crores. And 2 of them gives normal return, around 10 times. So 20 crores ka 10 times kitna hua? 200 crores. So the total is approximately around 1200 crores. How much did you invest? 100 crores. After 5 years, how much is the money you get return? 12 times, 1200 crores. How many companies lost business? 6. Only 2 were boom investments. They call them boom investments. Their jargon is boom investments. 2 were boom investments. So they built, when they are investing, even if you are a very good opportunity, sometimes they choose not to invest in your business. Why? Because when they are investing in 8 to 10 different businesses over the life of the fund, they are creating a portfolio that where if this doesn't work, then if this works, there will be exponential growth. Correlation between the 2 investments. As let's say, -1. If this one will give 30 times return, this one will become 0. But if this one gives 30 times returns, this one will become 0. So this is a portfolio management that they do. And this can be one of the reasons you can get rejected from the venture capitalists. Right? Too many companies looking for funding. Too few venture capitalists with decent amount of money to fund them. It is very hard to get your funding. Getting your 4 factors right, even after that, sometimes you are unable to raise the money. So ladies and gentlemen, large cap market opportunity, whether the investment can be scalable into a multi-billion dollar business or not. I tell you a business somebody was into, and he had 8 employees, and they made $1 billion in approximately around 18 years. And what was the nature of the business? They were all pharmaceutical chemistry PhD. Most of them, the team was, apart from my friend, right, my classmate, and I did chemical engineering before I got into a BA and PhD. So he was the only one who was a fresher with a PhD degree in biopharmaceutical. Rest were veterans. Some were 25 years of experience, some were 15 years of experience, and 20 years of experience. They realized that the nature of the business in pharma industry is to get a very good drug out in the market, right? It requires 4 levels of approval. And 3rd and 4th level requires handsome amount of money, approximately around $1 billion. But the first level is a molecule level at which approximately For every 20,000 molecules rejected, one gets success. So large companies are also struggling, right, to get the molecule right. So in US and Europe, the smartest and the most intelligent people don't go out and work for Google, Microsoft, they work in startups. Why? Because they are valued more in startups. They have the capacity to build such products, right? Capacity, energy, intelligence, intellect to build those products. So ladies and gentlemen, they figured this out, that there are only 9 to 10 scientists are required to build a product at a molecule level. And get an FDA approval is only $5 or $6 million worth expense. So they went to a venture capitalist with the business model that what we will do is, we will get FDA level 1 approved, and then we will sell the business to somebody else. At least there is a molecule. Anybody will buy the molecular level success of a business. So venture capitalists said yes, they were the first ones who started. And do you know, the facility where they used to do all the experiments was half the size of this room. This was the asset that was on rent. They bought equipment worth just $4 million and they started running the experiments. Whosoever, wherever you can get the seat, you can just sit. There is no ego that the venture capitalist is sitting on the floor. I'm sorry, the CEO was sitting on, once I went to meet him, the CEO was sitting on the floor and working on his laptop. No ego. So they utilized this asset, created the first molecule after 5 years. The valuation of the molecule was $90 million. Over a period of 5 years, they just invested $9 million. They sold it, they distributed the profits, venture capitalists took his money and realized these are the guys. Before they could come up with anything, venture capitalists came back to them, what's the next stage? He said, we will build the next molecule. So they again started working, building next molecule. They built it in 3 years and they sold it for $200 million. Now why the price of $200 million was there? Have you heard of Sun Pharma buying Ranbaxy? Right? So there are 2 ways you can buy the business. One is using this, another one is using this. This is brain, this is heart. In finance and in business world, there is no heart. Before we get into this, I'll ask you a question. You have to make a choice. All of you are CEOs of a pharma company. So you have to choose between 2 investments you will do to build a molecule. Right. The first one is, this type of cancer, 5 lakh people have it. Those 5 lakh people are below average in our society in terms of their income. The growth rate of the cancer, this particular type of cancer, is 10% on global basis. The second type of cancer, 80 lakh people have it, 20% growth, and this cancer happens because of a very good lifestyle. Which one would you choose, first or second? Heartless people. You made a heartless choice. Why? Because there is a bigger market, large market, there is a bigger opportunity. There is, what happens? The next is, what? The growth rate of 20%. These people can afford the drug, so we will make it. So you thought from here. Sun Pharma went and bought Ranbaxy and they thought from here. Best in the business can make mistakes. That is why even the biggest of the companies fall. Why? Ranbaxy had some very, very good molecules for the drugs. As a scientist, if you are buying a business, you will think, oh my God, this is the molecule, I'm going to buy it. But as a finance guy, you will think, oh, wait a minute. Before you buy this molecule, there is a value attached to every asset you create. Every asset you create, there is a value attached to it. This molecule is for diabetes. How many people have diabetes? And there are tons of medicines for diabetes. Who's going to afford this medicine? If there's a cardio disease, how many people have a cardio disease? How many people are buying this drug? If I own this company, then how much extra my MRs can sell this? This is how you will determine the price of each of the molecules. Not like this. Oh, you want to buy my molecule? Ranbaxy said, yes. You give me 10,000 crores, I'll start. Oh, sir, okay, I'll give it to you. Now look at the share price in 2 years of Sun Pharma. Some of my students, when I teach them, I don't teach the way they teach in India. I build huge models in Excel. I give them real world companies and tell them go out and do the valuation of Ranbaxy. And what do you think? What was the right price to pay? They come up with their valuation and check their work in the real world. That is how, this is the only way you can learn finance. So they bought it from here. And the price they paid was far more than the actual price of the molecule. Every asset has a certain value attached to it. And if you are paying far more than what that value, then far more than if, let's say, for example, the most basic, you plan to put a cab in Uber, right? And you buy a BMW and you do it, daily Uber चल रही है, 40 lakhs की कार है, उसके ऊपर income जो है वो महीने की 50,000 है. How much is that? 1%. वही आपने 4 lakhs की ऑल्टो खरीद के डाल दी, इनकम है 40,000, कितनी आई? 10%. वहाँ 1% आई या 10% आई? The way you created the asset and you chose the asset for the particular business you are doing is going to determine the success of the business, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, competitive edge, uniqueness of your deal is very important. What is the uniqueness of your product? In the coming 2 to 3 years, many pharmaceutical companies will be shut down. And if you have invested in a pharmaceutical company, in the share of a pharmaceutical company, the valuation is not enough. You should understand the business. There is something called stem cells. So, in order to have a legal way of doing stem cells, not the experimental way, it has to go through just like drug molecule goes. So, 10, 15 years, 12 years back, they started working on stem cells. You have a problem of diabetes, they will inject pancreas into your, they will insert stem cells into your pancreas, and your pancreas will start functioning, right? Your pancreas will start functioning. And then who's going to take this drug? Diabetes drug? No one. So if you're a venture capitalist and you are basically a promoter who's opening his company and you're going to a venture capitalist that you give me approximately around 100 crores and I will build a drug that will increase the way insulin is released, produced in the body. He will say, boss, 5-6 years, stem cells will be there, even if there is a delay of 2 to 3 years. What happens? Nobody is going to buy your business, right? You will make me go out of business, I'm going to have losses. This is inevitable. So I'm not going to invest in your business. I remember when I was studying in MBA, for final semester of MBA, I had my job. The guy who used to live next door to me, he was Jewish, and he came up to me, Manu. I said, what? He said, laboratory scale. I have found, at a laboratory scale, I found the cure to hemophilia. You understand hemophilia? That if you develop a cut here, the person continues to bleed. And it is very hard to stop the bleeding. So I said, you developed it, you sure? He said, yes, I need funding, I need some people, and then I'll be able to create a business, right? I'll be able to create a product that will cure it. I said, excellent, very good. I also got charged. So I wrote a proposal and I took an appointment from a venture capitalist and both of us went there. And they said, okay, we will evaluate it and after 15 days, we will contact you. So they didn't contact us for good 20, 25, 30, 35 days. And then I called him up and I said it. So that particular day he was free or he wanted to mentor me or whatever was there. He called us up to his office. He said, have a cup of coffee. He said, you bloody idiots, you tell me one thing. 4 lakh people in this country have hemophilia. First, I'll give you $20 million to develop the drug. It will take 5 years to develop it. Within 1 year, you will cure all of them. Next year, I'll go to whom I'll sell my medicine. There will be no market. Or your uniqueness of your product is that you are curing him. And once you cure him, in the next year, nobody is going to buy it. And you have any idea what kind of people have hemophilia? WHO का data देखा है? Even if I want to have a business out of it, they won't be able to afford it. The kind of people who have it. So we will not scale it, we will not invest in it. He said, what should I do if I want to continue with it? He said, you should do something like diabetes. He needs a drug every day for the rest of his life. For me, he's not a patient, he's a customer. So that should be the uniqueness of your deal. Before you talk about curing someone and eradicating a customer from the market. If you cure someone, you eradicate a customer from the market. This is not venture capital. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, Components of your business plan. Remember, these are the components, but you should remember these 4 points once again. What exactly is the market for your product that you are developing? Whether you can scale it. A product you have developed and customized it, it is for use in Chandigarh only. And once you go to Gurgaon, you realize that it needs 80% changes, right? So just like we built a software, a client came to us and said, I want 3 changes in it. So what we did, we developed a drop-down menu and we added 3 more features into it rather than changing the software. So what happens is, you are scaling the software and you are giving more and more options to people to use this particular software. So ladies and gentlemen, first what is required is company description. This is the most important, what you do, what's the nature of the business, right? What is the market, where exactly you are selling, and whom do you want to sell. Next is market analysis. What is the market for your product? Who you are competing with in the market, right? Correct? Now, when you write about market analysis, there is something really important you are supposed to write. And that is, there are some industries where total share is controlled by, when 80 to 90% of the total share is controlled by 5 or 6 companies. 5 or 6 companies. And there are businesses where is approximately around 30 to 40% of the total business is controlled by 5 or 6 companies. Rest is distributed among small players. Rest is distributed among small players. So ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow you want to start your own company. Let's say you want to build a software for a bank, right? Who has a software for banking industry? Infosys. Do you think as a startup you can convince ICICI or HDFC or Bank of Baroda or SBI to remove this financial software and put yours? A startup? No, you can't. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, when you are building this, you will have to understand that when you are talking about market analysis, you will look at the small part, particular part, that out of the total market that is there, if 80% of it is with very large players, you will focus only on 20% of the market. Let's say for a particular product there is market worth 1,000 crores and 80% of the total market share is with large players, 4 or 5 big large players. That means what your market is? 200 crores. Where small players are there, 200 crores is your market, not 1,000 crores. Before venture capitalist asks you to correct it, you should correct it. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, next is competitive analysis. So for this 200 crores, you are competing. And why your product is better than somebody else? Right? And remember, your product should be according to standards. How Apple has introduced after iPhone 7, they have a different charger, correct? They have a different charger. But if you see that they gave an extension with it so that you can plug it into a laptop and listen with those earphones. Why? Because that is an industry standardization. Even after being the biggest player in the market, they cannot change their auxiliary wire when they are launching their products. That is the power of industry standardization. So ladies and gentlemen, management profile. One of the most important things is management profile. If you are asking for money to build a software for banking industry, and 5 of you have already worked for Infosys for good 15 years, maintaining that financial software, that means what? What does it tell the venture capitalists? You know about the product. You can build your product. If you have worked in banking industry, right, and you have worked in loans, and you want to start a financial software of your own, venture capitalists will say no. You don't have the right kind of industry experience. Industry experience doesn't mean you have worked in the industry, but your nature of job was related to it. So you know what is required. So maybe because you are over in the lending business, what you can do is bring in 2 or 3 more promoters who have that kind of knowledge. Only then I'll think about funding. Many people are very easily able to get money from the financial markets, from the venture capitalists. Why? Because in the past, they have created 3, 4, 5 successful ventures. And there is a reputation. So when there is a reputation, the venture capitalist tends to assume that this idea is very good. This product is very good. But still, he will work on the other aspects of the investments. But the main thing is there, it is very hard to break ice with the venture capitalist for you to even him to call you to his premise to have a discussion regarding an investment. 99.9% of the business plans get rejected by reading about the company profile, where you are talking about incremental growth of your company. Product and services details, the products and services that you are going to offer, the technical aspects, as well as the market aspects. Marketing strategy. Marketing. Many venture capitalists, look, when they invest, there is pre-seed, seed, startup, immature. 4 different parts of venture capital funding. Pre-seed is, it's an idea. Seed is, I have an idea, very good idea, right? I can build a driverless car. I have an idea. So it's pre-seed. I have an idea, 4 of us got together, we are building the software, we have the premise, no capital, that is seed. We have the capital, we are working on it, and we need more capital to run, that is startup. We have raised the money, first round of funding, we are working on building the product, and we need a little more money to build the product, that is immature company. And sometimes they have built the product and they need money for marketing of the products, that is also an immature company. Okay, so how much funding amount and where it will be invested? Yes, you're asking for money, but where it will be invested? Are you going to invest in capital expenditure? Do you need it for working capital? Or do you need it for marketing strategy to go out and shout and tell people that you exist in the market, so they should come and take your product and or your services? So financial projections. The last is, what exactly do you plan to achieve? 5 years down the line, you want your company to have $100 million worth revenue. That is your target. How it will come? It should be the part of business plan as financial projections. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Anybody? Any questions? It's okay?
So I have a question.
Sure.
The last thing that you told about is, the immature company, and I'm asking from my own perspective for the company that I am running. What happens is sometimes the company have multiple products. So let's say they are not that immature in those 2 and they want to do a third one now, for which they are, raising funds for marketing. So how do you take that, into consideration? That would that count when you ask for funds, or should person keep doing it bootstrapping ways, or how do you recommend?
You're asking me that for your company is in the 4th stage, that is an immature company, and you need capital to market your products.
Yes.
Create awareness among the
Yes.
Generate cash flows for the company.
Yes.
Yes. So regarding this also, you can get capital from venture capitalists. That means in the eyes of venture capitalists, you are just like I showed the 3rd slide. You are 3rd slide ready for it. Product state. Prototype is developed. You are no more in the R&D phase. So now what you want to do is, you are basically in the shipping mode. They say the shipping mode. That means product is ready and you want to ship your product. So for that, what you need is capital. And the capital should be marketing expense to create awareness regarding your products. You can get it venture capitalists. Yes. You have to build a plan for the products. And when you are building the plan for the products, you have to be a little careful. It will be easier for venture capitalists to fund you if you will show that how multiple products can be can be accommodated into small buckets of marketing. Well, you're going to market the products rather than marketing those products individually. You can bucket them into small products and offer it. If it's, I don't know the nature of the business, many a times what happens is different products are for the different parts of the industry. They are for the different phases. The companies are in different phases. For some companies, it's a small cap, so we're going to fund them, and some for middle or large cap. So depending upon the nature of the products, if you bucket them and you tell them that what exactly is the target you require, I mean the money you require and whom you are going to target it. And when you are going to target them, you are supposed to build a business plan that I'm trying to target these 10 companies. These 10 companies on an average spend, let's say approximately 1 crore on using this product of other companies in a given year. So 10 crores is the revenue of these 10 companies. That is your industry revenue, 10 crores. So if you are able to target at least 15% out of it in the first year, that means 1.5 crores revenue you can generate. From there onwards, you can ask him that I need 4 crores to do it. Once I have it, this 1.5 crores, there are other companies in different parts of the country which have this, and I will go there, that I already have these 10 clients and now I want to increase my client base. Just like one of my friends, he was in the banking industry and he was looking for venture capital funding. So he got angel funding. There were 2 partners and the third partner they brought in was a coding guy, super coder. So he did the code for them, and what they have done is they have done something really smart for banks in Europe. All he wanted was the first bank. And the code they have written is certain people in the higher part of our society, rich people, they do certain level of spending on their credit cards, right? So what happens was, they used to locate your mobile location, and these friends of mine, they have built a software that analyzes their shopping behavior. And based on that, these people used to get text message on there that there is a cashback of 20%, there is a sale of 15% of this particular store when the sale was not there. You have to show this message and you can go to this particular store. They realized that by locating the position of the phone and sending such messages, marketing, they were able to increase the revenue by 35 to 40% in a given month. Right? So now they have 45 banks across the globe with them.
Right. Any other questions, guys? Probably could we help them also give some websites from where they can read through some business plans, because they will be writing some soon. So if you can give them some access, some good websites and references.
Business plan is so customized in nature that there is no right way to write it, but you can do is all these in it. And Investopedia is the most authentic of them when you want to read about what exactly should be company description, market analysis, competitive. Investopedia.com, if you want to write it, is the most authentic one of them. So you can read it while you are writing your business plan. But remember only one thing, that the scalability of the project is the most important.
All right, a round of applause for. So I think with this, we also have summed up today before we break for snacks in like a couple of minutes. So I just want to link it what we did in the last class on design thinking and rapid prototyping. So this stage comes right next to what you've already done. So if you want to continue using the old ideas with the old team that we developed in the last Sunday, you can do that. What would be needed from our side or your side would be now that you need to actually start coming up with business plans and you need to formulate on what you have been told. So I think we have given you enough theory, enough background of how it is done. We have shown you some cases also how the prototyping and design thinking need to be done. Now is your turn to start creating it. The next 1 month we will be actually asking you to plan it, prepare it and pitch it. So it will be more of you and less of us going forward, and then wherever we see the gaps, we will be coming as a mentor to help you around. Is that clear? So we don't want to run it more old school ways कि हम पढ़ाते जाएं और आप 3 घंटे का टेस्ट लिख दो बाद में आके. It's not gonna work like that. From here onwards, you will be bringing, I think some of you got your laptops today. So whatever plans you have, start formulating it. It will be now needing time from your side. Okay? So we have given enough time and enough theory on this. Probably I think it's their turn now to start creating, and we can keep refining. So can we do it this way when we meet next? Have one idea per person, and as you know, Manu has told us that you need to kind of find out scalability, find out if it is doable in the next 6-7 months. Do not think of building some wind turbines in Punjab. Even if it is a good idea, it cannot be somehow developed in the next 6 months. So for this, let's take one step at a time with the potential that you have and the way we can help you. And let's do something which can be doable, or at least we can have a minimum value product available before we start pitching to them.
This can be used as a template for creating the.
Yes, so these bullet points, of course, can be used. Investopedia.com, as he was telling, you can use that. Have you guys already started thinking about it? कि क्या ideas चाहिए होंगे अब? क्योंकि I think that's the stage that we are getting into slowly up. Has anybody brainstormed till now, or has anybody think कि हाँ this is giving us a lot of trigger and we want to do it? किसी को ऐसा कुछ लगा अभी तक?
Anybody?